Hello, RoahmMythril here once again, getting back to RoahmMythril 3, and it's time for the judge commentary on the stage we just played through, 125th place, water level, ice level, by floating clouds. This stage got a 44.4, with a 3.6 in difficulty, 14.2 in design, 7.6 in fun, 9 in creativity, 10.4 in aesthetics, and 3.2 in functionality. Mick. Is it water? Is it ice? I'll take both for 500. The core concept of flipping between water and ice is interesting, picking between large pools and geysers, or frozen surfaces with icicles from the ceiling. These can create radically different scenarios from the same room, best shown when you go back through the initial segments or the final split for the star token. The enemies complement this decently enough: penguins, rabbitons, and keonaginos for ice, poles and swim balls for water. Unfortunately, while they're absolutely appropriate, the vast majority don't really seem to do much besides get shot. Still, the level has solid enough building blocks. But the execution? Hoo boy. For starters, it takes until after the first mid-boss to introduce the core gimmick. Considering how long this level is, that's not a good thing, and it makes the initial section basically just a dull water level with only a few tiny hints of something more. Even then, the attempts to enforce variety still don't quite work. Forcing the player underwater is especially ineffective. There's barely any difference when the place is frozen or not, which kills the point and causes that section to drag. Top it off with an annoying and awkward mid-boss. Why Hanabiran? Really? Especially with freezing. And this place doesn't look super great. But the real aggravation is the tokens. Not the diamond with the checkpoint, or the last one with the boss gate, but the other three are just bad. The heart one, obtuse requirement aside, is severely laggy. The spade takes you through multiple easily broken transitions before rewarding you with a truck to the face and a really dumb number of tanks. The club requires you to jump down an unmarked spike pit after flipping a switch and pulling a lot of backtracking, and then deal with a spam of swim balls that somehow explode into Splash Woman mines, which appear nowhere else in the level. Yeah, I guess they were just part of the weird trolling of this level. These three are all an absolute mess, and they drag down an already vulnerable level. Top it off with a very unpolished dual boss, one where you can just stand on the left magnet and tediously snipe the two to death regardless of the level's current mode, and the end result does not do the concept justice. If I were to give one big piece of advice, this should have capitalized more on the ability to pick your temperature. The water level versus the ice level concept is absolutely this place's strongest piece, at least above water, and building rooms that allowed the player more choice could have been interesting. As it is now, this has a cool concept, but the execution misses the mark in several areas. Shinryu. The general idea behind this stage is sound, but sadly, it's dragged down quite a bit due to a combination of level design and technical issues. Let's focus on the positive aspects first, though. The biggest point in this stage's favor is easily its main gimmick. The freezing switches are really interesting, mostly thanks to how their effects persist throughout the whole level, rather than just being contained within whatever room you're currently in. The stage takes great advantage of this by having you backtrack through previous areas under new conditions, which forces you to change up your approach to previous segments a bit. It's a really neat idea with a ton of potential. However, a good idea alone is not enough to carry a level. The actual stage design varies a lot between decently designed rooms and ones that feel overly cluttered and cramped. I wouldn't mind this too much if not for the serious lack of checkpoints. Yep, there it is. Dying often means redoing the level from the first usable switch, even if you've reached the second and rather annoying mini-boss. Granted, there is a way around this. Intentional or not, it's very easy to bypass a large section of this level through some simple magnet beam usage. Doing this means less legwork when it comes to checkpoints, but you also miss out on some of the tokens as well. Speaking of which, actually locating a few of them is a pretty obtuse process, such as the one that requires you to go back to a previous room after flipping a switch, which, somehow, causes a ladder to materialize out of nowhere. Yeah, there really wasn't a tell for that one. The route for these tokens also unveils some technical problems as well. For one, the water often doesn't extend to where its surface is shown on screen. I get this is probably tied to making room for the freezing effect, but even that ends up being glitchy, since it's incredibly easy to clip through the ice and immediately die by just walking into certain screens, mainly the ones to the left of the start. Yeah. All of this ends with a double boss fight against Chillman and Bubbleman, which is made incredibly easy if you trap both of them underneath the ice. It's a pretty lackluster note to end the level on, but it didn't have to end up that way. I really would like to see a better version of this stage since the main gimmick has so much potential. Patchy. Steam level? Oh gods. What if that was a thing and you could somehow have 3 states of water in the stage? Oh. Is there a 3-stage switch somehow? Oh, that's a scary thought. I really like this kind of level concept a lot. Changing the state of the rooms you've already been to and unlocking new paths that way, it's like a mini Metroidvania. The unfortunate part is that this is one of the buggiest entries of the contest I've seen. So often your character gets stuck in the geometry by the changing water/ice, flinging you all over the place out of bounds and killed. Even outside of the main gimmick, there just seem to be collision errors littered around. Level design is also questionable, especially when it comes to the tokens. Holy moly, those tokens were a big mess of a process to reach. Yeah. The overall layout of the level can get quite confusing at times, notably at the beginning where you can only progress after you've done the first switcheroo, and the starting part of the deep underwater section where it wasn't clear for the player that you have to go toggle the switch to an ice state unless they happen to go right first. Don't really like that during the deep underwater section, the stage keeps placing those swimming enemies specifically to knock the player off to nearby pits. Like, come on now, that's number 2 of the 10 things you should not design your level like. Pay attention during your design lessons, students. Despite all that, at least the music is super soothing and nice to listen to. Probably one of my favorite tracks in the contest so far. It's the one thing that allowed me to tolerate the bug-infested nightmare, that's for sure. Flashman 85. No other level in this contest confused me as much as this one did. I went left at the start. Okay, fine, guess I'll die. Then I went right. Thinking I had found a secret area, I used Magnet Beam to slide through a hole in the wall. Unbeknownst to me, I just wrecked the level. I encountered plenty of switches, but I couldn't get any of them to work. The ones I could touch did nothing except make a noise, and the ones I couldn't touch just looked like awkward wall decorations. I understand now what you were going for, but please don't do that. I guess it was supposed to be a tell to show you what state things were in, but, I mean, the stage itself does that. So, yeah, that didn't really feel necessary, and it did feel kind of weird just seeing switches everywhere that you couldn't interact with. For over half the level, I honestly couldn't tell if something was massively broken, or if I simply didn't understand what I was supposed to do. Even playing the intended way, there are signs this level needs more playtesting. It's never clear what's a bottomless pit or where any given path will lead you. It's possible to get stuck in a few places, or shunted through the floor if you turn the water to ice at the wrong time. The dual boss battle, while certainly interesting, isn't terribly polished. Although too many challenges feel more like random assets on a screen than a deliberate test of knowledge or skill, the water/ice puzzles are generally pretty strong. Magnet plus ladder use is excellent. I wish I'd used that setup in Joe's. Dual magnets plus spike shaft is also good. I love the concepts of the token challenges. Swimball's Devious Surprise is especially great, and I got a laugh out of Eddie's truck trick, but I have serious issues with their execution, particularly the logic-defying secret ladder. Yeah. Moody music, background graphics that change with a gimmick, and really solid premise almost keep the level afloat. Profound polish problems are what sink it. And Ace Spark. When this level goes right, it's fun, excellent even. But oh my, it's so easy for it all to just fall apart. Which version of the stage do you get? The clean, smooth experience the developer intended, or the soft block glitchy mess where you can accidentally backtrack into such a state where you lose lots of progress? That's the real kicker. I've experienced both for myself, and the latter version oh so very much sinks the real enjoyable experience I had with the other. And that's a darn shame. From a design standpoint, this stage works. Finding yourself retracing your steps but seeing rooms in a new frozen or unfrozen state, that's thrilling. And the token layouts give the user a reason to try and progress through rooms in the unintended way. But that's also the issue. Some of these rooms were not designed with that in mind. There are many areas where going through a screen transition with the ice/water gimmick set in the wrong configuration leads to instant death via clipping out of the world, or worse, a soft block. The player basically requires clairvoyance to tell which of these screens is going to kill them. Even with it set up correctly, the fact that the ice needs to spend time spawning in means just walking through an intended screen transition can kill you. Yeah, we saw that a lot. It's really cute then that the Spade token requires sliding through a transition, and you need to correct yourself before plummeting to your death. This, combined with the it's a water level therefore spikes nature of the stage, is made all the more frustrating due to the really questionable checkpoint placement. Just to quickly mention, the heart token having what is an invisible ladder that's only visible in the frozen state? No, don't do this. There's zero indication it's there and fails hard. The rest were fine, but this is absurd. Yeah, I mean, I did stumble across the idea of sliding back into that room. Invisible ladder was not what I was expecting to happen. The stage isn't great from a graphical standpoint either. It all feels rather flat, unpolished, and messy, so it's proof of just how important a good music track is. That alone helps rise the atmosphere of the stage. It helps all the gimmicks and elements do their thing, and sells the theme to you. It is also a shame the lack of polish given to the graphics also applies to pit indication, or lack thereof. Given the wild, confusing nature of the layout, this really hinders the player's ability to tell where they're supposed to go. Instant death and the path forward look identical in this level, especially in the water. The boss also has two versions. The version where you don't let them interact and pick them off one by one, or the version where you're an idiot and let them combo you into oblivion by unfreezing the water. Don't forget there's the third version, where somehow, despite the fact that you left everything frozen, Chillman still somehow ends up underwater. That's another version. That's the one I got. And I'm still not really sure how that happened. I don't know if he goes off screen, suddenly he doesn't interact with the ice anymore or something? It's weird, and I really do legit wonder what happened there. I've also experienced both of those versions, but for some wild reason, I don't feel I can hold that one against you. God, this is so frustrating. There's a really good stage in there, let down by just how unfun it is to play through a slog of glitches. So, yeah. Basically, my frustrations with the stage, we saw that during the playthrough. Gods, it needed more checkpoints. I understand that there were issues due to the whole gimmick of needing to sometimes put you near a switch so you could send things back to the state you need to be in to actually get through the stage. But I feel like that should have been a warning bell, a red flag that, this is spaced out too much. I need to use the gimmick more effectively, more often, so that A, I get to make the gimmick shine more, and B, I can actually have more checkpoints so that you're not redoing half the stage every time one of the myriad instant death obstacles in this stage sends you back. Because yes, that was the other problem. Very few checkpoints, and so often what got you was instant death. Either a spike, or a pit, or an enemy helpfully pushing you into the pit after just suddenly zooming in from offside. So, yeah, I'm afraid that part did leave a bad taste in my mouth. It's something that also, some of the humor on the stage just kind of got lost on me due to just honestly feeling kind of drained by the end of it. So things like Eddie's truck surprise, or the whole thing with the swim balls turning into mines. By the end of it, I admittedly was kind of checked out to the point where it got me a little bit, but not as much as it could have. And yeah, there's also just, direction is kind of unclear in this stage as to what's progress, what's one of the token paths, what's just a side path that gets you a goodie, but not actually an important one. Like, I was certain one of the tokens was going to be in that one side path that at the end just led to an M-Tank. So, yeah. Direction in this stage was bizarre. However, at the end of the day, it is an interesting concept. So, I do kind of gel with the judges there saying that they'd like to see a more focused version of this stage, one that has more polish, because I think it is a really cool concept. I just don't think it quite got used to its full potential here. So again, we're still kind of in that level of stages that have really good ideas, just need some polish. Honestly, not bad at all, just checkpoints, that was the main issue for me. I can tell that the checkpoints were a technical difficulty issue, but I do kind of wish a better way had been found to get around that. But anyway, that's where we're going to call it for now, so thank you very much for watching, hope you're enjoying the series so far, and I shall see you again next time. Until then, fare thee well.